This is Radio Atlantis. Good evening, this is the Radio Atlantis National Radio News broadcast for the 6th of January. We begin with our top story tonight. The Atlantis Prime Ministerial elections are underway. Polls have been open for just over 48 hours now as the people of Atlantis choose their next Prime Minister. A close race between incumbent Ed Cullinane of the Social Democrats and Liberal National leader Sam Stiles is expected, with Atlantean Green Council leader Thomas Anderson following in third. Polls will remain open for another 24 hours, and Radio Atlantis will continue to bring you developments as they come in. To economic news now. The price of oil has fallen yet again. 1 barrel of Atlantean crude is now worth $80 or approximately 52 pounds. The falling value reflects the current state of the oil-heavy economy of Atlantis and is expected to continue to drop. However, in an interview with Radio Atlantis, Transport and Energy Minister Christian Freeman maintains that, quote, "Due to the vast surplus that the SDP government has maintained, this shall not affect the government and the economy too badly, although production may decrease." When asked if the government has a plan in place to boost production, the minister said, quote, "It is not really a matter for the government to deal with, as oil production is run by private companies who will determine their own production levels." He also said that a mix of the falling price of oil and increased production would only keep the surplus at its current level. In other news, the United States has imposed additional sanctions against North Korea in the wake of cyber attacks against Sony Pictures, for which the US government blames Pyongyang. A spokesman for the North Korean Foreign Ministry responded to the new restrictions, saying, quote, "The policy persistently pursued by the US to stifle the DPRK, groundlessly stirring up bad blood towards it, will only harden its will and resolution to defend the sovereignty of the country." North Korean leader Kim Jong-un and his government have denied being directly behind the attacks, but support the actions of the hackers, calling the attacks a righteous deed. To Germany now, where tens of thousands of people are marching and protesting against the so-called Islamization of Europe. Protests have sprung up in Dresden, Berlin, Cologne, and Stuttgart. A record 18,000 people marched through the streets of Dresden on Monday as a part of the group called Patriotic Europeans Against the Islamization of the West, a group that seeks to restrict immigration. The group is drawing criticism from senior German politicians and the German people. Counter-protests of a total of 22,000 people turned out in Stuttgart, Münster, Hamburg, and Dresden, but according to police, the number of anti-Islam protesters far outnumbers the pro-diversity side. And finally, the United States has condemned a move by Israel to prevent the transfer of funds to the Palestinian Authority. Approximately £82 million in tax revenues were due to be transferred to the semi-autonomous region, but the transaction was cancelled. Israel claims that the move was necessary after Palestine applied to join the International Criminal Court, but the United States Department of State said that the move would raise tensions. However, the United States condemned the Palestinian bid to join the ICC, saying that joining the court would be, quote, "entirely counterproductive and does nothing to further the aspirations of the Palestinian people for a sovereign and independent state," and that joining the ICC could have implications for American aid to Palestine. The Palestinian government wishes to prosecute Israel over alleged war crimes during the on-and-off conflicts between Hamas and Israeli government forces. To recap our top story, the Atlantis Prime Ministerial elections are underway right now. Polling stations will continue to operate for another 24 hours as what seems to be a close race between the SDP and the Libnats continues. That concludes the National Radio News broadcast for the 6th of January. Radio Atlantis will continue to bring you news from Atlantis and from around the world, and will bring you more extensive national and local coverage. Have a good night.